Hey, thank you for always tuning in and listening to the Aftermarket's original and premier podcast. So glad to have the power in the voices, ideas, and insights that are shaping the future of the automotive aftermarket. And if there's only one remarkable results radio, you're at it, you're with it, aftermarket approved, and that's a guarantee. Carm Capriato here. And hey, a little secret for you. Reinvention is an important business strategy. And you know, I'm a tweaker and an ideas person. Now today, you'll hear one of those ideas come to life. I reached out to two of my friends and shop owners, and I asked them if they'd partake in an episode that was completely off the cuff and unscripted. No outline of intended talk. This is the first off-the-cuff and unscripted episode, a very frank and in-your-face discussion that came from my guest's passion at the time of the recording. Hey, this episode is brought to you by Napa Gold Certified. You know, you're aware by now that the Napa Expo has officially been rescheduled. February 1st through the 4th, 2021, Las Vegas is going to be painted blue and gold as Team Napa puts on the fabulous event that was planned prior to the COVID-19 pandemic. Napa wants to thank everyone for understanding the event postponement, and they send well wishes to you and your families. Rest assured, Team Napa is as energized and invested as ever in Napa Expo, and we are all looking forward to hosting you next February 2021. Hey, here's an industry first. Apex, they announced the first Shop Owner, Technician, and Service Advisor of the Year awards. They'll be presented at Apex 2020. Nominate a deserving peer or yourself. Go to aapexshow.com/service awards for all the info. Nominating? It ends July 31st, 2020. Get in. This episode speaks for itself, raw and unscripted, and it's intended to push a button or two and maybe one of yours. It's a collection of ideas and thoughts, which resulted in nothing more than some extraordinary talk.
But what's the number one thing that we do when something goes south? We blame the customer. We take zero ownership for what happened in the shop, what went wrong. And I think it's really important to recognize that when you look at another shop, you look at another shop owner, a lot of what you see is highlight reel.
Hey, Andy and Lucas are coming right up, but did you know, along with my friend Tom Ham, we've started a weekly aftermarket magazine show. Go to aftermarketweekly.com and watch the first 9 episodes, and also watch it live on Tuesdays at noon Eastern Time. Go to aftermarketweekly.com, watch the first 9 episodes, and also watch it live Tuesdays at noon. And tell me what you think. You now have a weekly magazine video covering topics that are intended to spark your thoughts and create change. The big feature, a shop tour each week. We'll see you there. My guests are shop owners Andy Bizub and Lucas Underwood. They're veterans of the show and have multiple episodes between them. Andy Bizub owns Midwest Performance Cars in Chicago, 2 locations, and Lucas Underwood from L&N Performance Auto Repair, Blowing Rock, North Carolina. They share the challenges of attracting and retaining customers. Lucas had guidance from his coach that told him that some shop owners, they fall in love with their problems and not the solutions. While Andy remains choosy to pick the customers that come through his shop, he programs his business to attract what he says are his right customers. This and so much more. So glad you're coming to the trough of wisdom for the best aftermarket talk radio that strives to beat your expectations each and every week. Find the key talking points for this interview with Andy Bizub and Lucas Underwood at remarkableresults.biz/E553. A warm welcome to 2 of my really good friends, Andy Bizub and Lucas Underwood, and I'm calling this Unscripted. Are you guys ready for this?
I guess we'll have to be now. We're here.
Yeah, let's go.
Wow, I can't believe I dragged you in on a hot 90-degree day wherever you may be. And why I'm calling it Unscripted is we don't know what the hell we're going to talk about. Andy Bizub, Midwest Performance Cars in Chicago. A couple of stores, right?
Yep, Chicago and Northbrook, Illinois.
Cool. Residents in Dallas every once in a while, right?
I'm like 2/3 of the time in Dallas, 1/3 of the time in Illinois.
Cool, man. How do you run a store from that far away? Maybe a chance for a different podcast at a different time, but you never know. I'm curious as all hell. Lucas Underwood, L&N Performance Auto Repair, Blowing Rock, North Carolina. How you doing, man?
I'm fantastic, sir. How are you?
I'm great. Well, look at we're recording this as in July. It's COVID time or not, and we thought it would be over, but it's spiking, and irrelevant of all those issues going on. Andy, what's going on in your world, unscripted, man?
Well, one of the things I wanted to talk about today was because I'm in several owners Facebook groups. So, and then I have a 20 group, and I keep in touch with a lot of shop owners from around the country. And one of the most common things I see that we all see, right, is these customers, they beat me up on price. It's complaints from owners about their customers. And it's been my finding, and it's now my contention that we program our shops for the customers that we have in. So if we have customers that are coming in that are always beating us up on price, always asking for discounts, that kind of thing, that's the programming that we've put out there. If we advertise price specials, we advertise discounts, we advertise freebies, we send around direct mailers with $19 offers, that's the people that we're going to attract, right? It's just like fishing. You know, if you're fishing for walleye, you're not going to use the same bait as if you're fishing for channel cats, right? So I think I see this a lot because we tend, in my business, we don't discount. We do not advertise a discount ever. I mean, I don't. In 6 years of my ownership of the business, we have not done a special discount. We don't give away free stuff. We give away like nice swag that we produce.
Let me stop and ask you a question, Andy.
Yeah.
I'm in these groups. I'm in Facebook groups. I'm in 20 groups. I'm in peer groups. And wouldn't you are the members of the group looking for information like this, wanting to make changes, asking these questions, or are they the elite? And if they're the elite, they shouldn't be having these problems?
No, I will stipulate it. You know, when I'm in the elite groups, we don't. These aren't the issues. These aren't the issues.
That's what we should be talking about. The right. Fact of the matter is that and I'm not saying the 1%ers anything about being elite, but the fact of the matter is there's so many guys out there that have got it, understand it. It's just rocked their world. They made those changes.
Yeah,
Lucas, chime in anytime. And here you are saying, why don't they get it? We've had enough guests come on the show that said it's between the ears.
6 years ago, when I first entered this industry, I wanted every European car going by my shop to be coming into my doors. It took me about a year to realize that is not what I want.
Absolutely not.
Yeah.
You know, and look, here's kind of my perspective in the whole situation is that these guys that come in and they're just learning this, they're just picking up on it. They say, hey, I know my numbers are good. Listen, I know my numbers are good. there's no way, right? Somebody that's not tracking net profit, somebody that's not looking at a P&L on a daily basis, their numbers aren't good. And I don't care what anybody says. It's impossible. I know how hard it is to hit net 15 without watching my numbers, right? Sure. You're not going to turn a profit unless you monitor your financials. You can't do it.
Again, it's getting back to that. We pull in for the type of net that we throw out there.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. And look, this is coming from a guy who in a very short time I've made all kinds of mistakes. Some costly ones too, but I've really tried to learn from them. And all I want to do is I want to hit that big middle of the bell curve guys who I keep seeing this question come up.
Hey, it's Carm here. Today, I have a special message for Napa Auto Care Centers who are looking to take the next step in growing their business and partnership. Now, if you're ready to strive and take it to the next level, Napa invites you to consider Gold Certification. Gold Certification is a premier tier of Napa Auto Care that recognizes repair shops with a higher level of participation in the Auto Care program. The program was built by Auto Care Centers for Auto Care Centers to provide a consistent consumer experience, maximize technology leverage, and reward Napa's most committed partners. When consumers visit a Gold Certified Auto Care Center, whether it's a small facility in a rural community or a multi-bay shop in a large metropolitan area, they can expect a first-class service repair experience. This includes a well-trained staff using today's technology and quality Napa parts in a comfortable, up-to-date facility. Customers at Gold-certified shops will also enjoy an extended parts and labor warranty, valuable saving opportunities, along with access to credit to pay for needed repairs, and a whole lot more. Here's what you need to qualify for the program. First, you need to be an active auto care partner for at least 12 months and have a steady business presence in your market for at least 2 years. Then to become Gold Certified, it's necessary to meet specific requirements, chosen because they create the most consistent consumer experience and proven to generate the most significant results for auto care centers across the country. Some of these include using digital vehicle inspection, having at least one ASE Master Certified technician, a co-branded exterior, and offer consumer financing through Napa Easy Pay. You must also be an active member of a business development group. Once your shop achieves Gold Certification, you'll receive a number of benefits, including priority placement on Napa's shop locator pages, an allowance for marketing funds, 3636 peace of mind and local labor coverage, access to auto tech training, Napa Track's shop management system, Smart Sign digital menu board, and more. Talk with your servicing Napa store to find out everything you need to know about becoming a Gold Certified shop. So Andy was 25 years a commodity trader, and then he decides he's going to go in the automotive service business. So there's a great example of a very successful person who wasn't a wrench turner. And Andy Bizub, please go to the website, type in his name, listen to the For the Records, the town halls, and our one-on-one episodes. Likewise with Lucas, he's been a great contributor of the show, and I thought these two guys would be great to do this Unscripted, the first episode that I'm doing here. And so far, I think you guys are lighting it up. So you see the guys constantly making excuses, and basically that's what you see. Doesn't it frustrate or pain you to reply or respond knowing it was going to go on deaf ears?
I think for me, right, and what I've seen within the groups is that the majority of people are really good people, and they just need a little push in the right direction.
Okay.
Right? Now, there's some, they're not going to listen. They're not going to hear it. No matter what you say, they're not interested in changing. You know, my shop coach always says they're in love with their problems more than they are than the solutions, right? and I'm not interested in helping somebody that doesn't want to help themselves. But, you know, there's a number of shop owners that just need a little nudge in the right direction. And it doesn't just help their shop. It helps the shop down the street from them. It helps Andy. It helps me, because as we rise, all ships rise together. For right. Sure. And I think that's really important.
Yeah. Yeah. It's really about just doing what we can to help out the industry, because there's a lot of good people out there who should be doing better. And you can usually tell the way the questions are phrased if this person's going to be receptive to suggestions or not.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So I walk away. I ask a question, I got some really great responses, and I realized, God, that's going to be hard to do.
It's hard.
It's hard to make monumental, big, wholesale style changes in attitude, in culture, in numbers, in marketing. Go down the list, please. And without, in my opinion or belief, without an accountability partner or someone saying, pull the right or more. You need to go left. Okay. To me, one of the critical components that I've learned in the last 5 years of being a podcaster is coaching and accountability and consulting. And this great group of coaches, consultants has done such value for our industry.
Yeah,
I mean, you have one, Lucas. Do you have one, Andy?
Yeah, I've had a coach since the third month after I owned my shop. But I will say that nowadays there's very little excuse for still holding on to fundamental problems in your business, because the resources that are out there now, just 6 years from the time that I started, and again, I always say I'm a newbie in this industry, right? But 6 years ago, there wasn't anything like this out there. You almost had to hire a coach or know someone that really have a personal relationship with somebody in the business. I came into business not knowing anybody in this industry. Now I know hundreds of guys across the country and women who are in the business. Incredible people who've done great things. I mean, I can't praise the people in this industry enough. And but that, man, those resources weren't there. They weren't there. I didn't see the Facebook groups of shop owners talking the way they do now. I mean, you can get a lot of knowledge, a lot of information, and a lot of good best practices that are all out there from guys like Lucas and who get out there and they just give of their time to improve the industry.
If 50% of the industry said tomorrow I'm going to hire a coach, there wouldn't be enough coaches.
No.
And their fees would go up 25 to 30%. You think?
Yeah.
Just because they could have the pick of the litter. And because of that, we're constantly on Facebook. We're doing these kinds of things to get the industry to rise. The message, Lucas, Andy, has been the same, and it hasn't stopped. Do this and do that. And from the pundits of our industry, the really smart people saying it over and over again. And yeah, I think we're rising. I think we're getting better. I feel it. But it's not happening fast enough, in my opinion. And here's the thing. Here's COVID. It's knocked some people to hell because of it. Some people had a great business plan, and they're rocking right now. I don't know if you're out 2 or 3 weeks, but I've talked to some people that say we've never been busier. We're in catch-up mode, and people are trusting us, and we're there for them because of everything we've done right previous. So what's the lesson?
Look, I want to share my story of how I kind of started in this, right? And there were some Mitch Snyder books that were out there. They were management books. And I got those books and I started reading and I said, oh, crap. Not only am I doing one thing wrong, I'm doing everything wrong. And I've got to fix all this stuff, man. And I've got all this to do. And I attended ASTE. I hired a coach and really had to have somebody kind of narrow the bandwidth down for me a little bit. Let's start with the low-hanging fruit. Let's start with the biggest thing that's affecting the shop today. Let's start right there, right? Let's make that one thing better, see some growth, and then let's move to the next thing.
What was it?
So for us, it was we weren't charging appropriately. And listen, you see this in the groups all the time. When I say I wasn't charging appropriately, my labor rate, it wasn't so bad. And my margin, it wasn't so bad on parts. But if a customer didn't like what we were charging, guess who was paying for it? The technicians in the bay, right? We weren't putting enough hours on the ticket. We weren't making sure we were billing appropriately. And that was the biggest thing, right? The tickets that should have been 4 and 5 hours were running 2.5 or 3 hours. So, and when we kind of...
And you did that because you wanted to be an attractive quote?
Absolutely. Right. We think that when we start in this as a business owner, and Andy may have been a little bit different, but me, I thought, well, if I'm just the cheapest, everybody will come here. Right. And if I can do everything that everybody wants, they'll come here.
So I can name that tune in 4 seconds. Yeah.
Right. And look, the problem is when you start to figure things out, you don't want everybody as your customer. And the minute that you realize that, the minute you realize it, and you see an ASOG 7 days a week. Andy, how many times have you seen that question asked? And then somebody says, raise your rates. If they're beating you up like that, if they're that much of a problem, you're not charging enough. Sure. Those are the bottom feeders. They're trying to kill you. They're only interested in price. My customers, they're interested in value. They're interested in what I bring to the table, not just what they pay me.
For sure. Absolutely.
So you can either raise your rate or charge the appropriate time.
Right. Absolutely. Well, here's the excuse that people make. How many times do we see that excuse? Oh, well, my labor rate's $124 an hour and my parts margins, they're great. Yeah, but if you're only charging an hour for a 4-hour job, right, it doesn't matter what your labor rate is.
Yeah, I know. So I know a national guy. I'm not gonna name him because I don't want to call him out. Fantastic guy, Southern California. His practice is I take the book time and I just double it.
Yeah,
I mean I'm serious, and he's got all the business that he would ever want.
And can pay his bills. That's kind of an important part in all this. If you can pay your bills.
Right. And I send one of my technicians out to him every year to go train with him. So my tech knows that he does that. And I have no problem with my tech knowing that. Because I'm not playing, hide the salami with anybody here. Our techs know our techs were paid well, and they know what we charge, and they know that we're offering value. We're not offering price.
Right. Yeah. Right. Well, and look, the thing that I've seen the most frequently recently that has kind of shaken some feathers, if you will, especially in ASOG and some of the other groups, is when you start talking about labor gross profit margin and how you really can't afford to pay your tech over 30%. Now, all of a sudden you figure out that, well, gosh, they can't pay their tech, but $14 an hour. Maybe there's a labor rate problem here, right? And it's all in the numbers, right? When we start to learn the numbers and we're able to look at the numbers, and when I started with my coach, one of the most pivotal moments for me was he began to talk about, I'm not teaching you this so you can go and operate the business and just do what I say. I'm teaching you this so when something goes wrong, you have muscle memory. You understand what that number means. You understand where to go with that number, and you understand what to fix when the number's not right. I don't need you to just look at this and say, to fix this, I have to change that. I need you to understand the concept behind it. Yeah. So, that's been huge for us.
Well, here, let me throw something really, really crazy at you. When you get your numbers right, and again, it's all a work in progress, right? I don't have the secret sauce, and I'm not running the perfect place, but we try to get a little bit better every single day. But when you get your numbers right, I don't worry that I can't afford to pay the tech X on the high side. I worry that I can't afford to pay the tech X on the low side. Right. I can't afford to pay this guy so little money. Right. That he may be looking around. He may not be happy. Yep. He may be scratching to pay his mortgage and put food on the table. Right. Right. That's absolutely my worry. My worry is that I'm paying him too little.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And you can sleep at night a lot better when you're worried about paying them too little versus worried that I can't afford to pay them what they're worth.
Yeah, that sounds like a great goal for someone to latch onto, Lucas, Andy. I want to give all my techs a 25 to 30% raise. Go with me on this. They may be underpaid, or Andy, in your case, I want to make sure they stay, and I'm going to do everything possible from paying for their training and all these other incentives to get them to an increase. Yeah. Is that the kind of motivation, Lucas, that could make someone listen and learn even deeper than they are now?
Absolutely. Right. And it's the concept of I can get there. Right. If Andy can do it, so can I.
Sure.
If my little shop with 2 technicians can do 100,000 in June, any shop with 2 technicians can do 100,000 in June, right? And I think that if we at least strive towards that goal, that hey, it's time to take things up a notch. I can pay my technicians better than this. I can build a culture around the technicians and ensure they're taken care of down the road. It doesn't just have to be that, well, gosh, I got a lot of work to do, but I don't know if I can afford this guy. Right now, when we go to make hires, one of the biggest things, and Andy, I'm sure you've seen this, one of the biggest things when you talk about hiring somebody in these groups, these guys are backpedaling. I'm scared. I don't know if I can actually afford him. I'm scared. I don't know if we can actually bring somebody in. What if we don't have enough work? When the business is financially managed, we don't have to worry about that. We can look at the numbers and see where we stand.
Sure.
Right. But if we don't have the numbers in front of us, and for me, it all comes back to documentation. It comes back to the financials. It comes back to KPIs. If you're not tracking your business, you are flying blind. Okay. I mean, that's all there is to it. You can't see it.
Yeah, that's absolutely right.
And so it's hard to motivate, right? It's almost impossible to motivate an owner to grow until you put those numbers in front of him, until you give him a goal to hit and see where he's supposed to be. But it's all in the numbers for me.
Yeah.
So working on your business and not in it, Lucas, did you have to get up and out of the bays to figure all this out?
Absolutely. Absolutely. That was the whole problem. I was in the bays, right? And the first conversation that my coach had with me, you know him, so you'll really appreciate this. He said, perfection is a lie told by the devil to steal the dreams of men. And I said, what's that supposed to mean? He said, I need you out of the shop because you're trying to be perfect and you're slower than dirt.
Andy, having not been a tech and working in the bays, was that a factor for you to work on, not in?
So when I initially took over this shop was about to go under, and it was a turnaround deal, and I had been a customer of it. But when I initially took it over, I walked in, I started doing everything short of fixing cars, right? I started doing the cleanup, the construction, the demolition, everything, picking up brooms, because I needed to display to the crew here that this wasn't some guy's vanity play. I was in here to turn a business around and make it a viable business. So there's a buy-in time for that. But then it really was. I did realize the working on your business rather than in it. So I have not picked up a customer phone in a year or two, right? And my crew, they don't want me picking up the customer phones. I talk to particular customers who want to talk about particular things. Usually it's about buying or selling a car. And I do raising the profile of the business. I'm marketing, business development, meeting vendors, looking at new products or services that we can offer. That's what I really concentrate on. And I'll compare it to back when I was in the trading business, right? You want to have a business running that you are making money whether you're there or not. When I was a broker where I was representing customers all the time, if I wasn't down on the floor every single day, when I took a week's vacation, I had a week of no income. When I became a trader, I could actually set up trades and investments where I could go away on vacation and I had the possibility of making money while I was gone. That's the way you run a business. Now, if you own a shop and you want to stay under the hood, that's your prerogative. You can do that, but realize that
you got to hire people to do what you should be doing in other places. Yeah.
There has to be someone there running the business.
Has to be done no matter what.
Yeah, not answering the customer phone and not working on the cars.
That means you got to make some really big, strong, important money to be able to afford to do that.
Yep. You're never going to make big, strong, important money if your head is buried under the hood all the time. We
did a show today, aftermarketweekly.com, our new Tuesday show with Tom Ham from Automotive Management Network. He brought up a survey that he did on his site. When are you going to retire? What are you going to do? When are you going to get out? 50% of the respondents said 5 years or sooner. So he did some math. That means 50 to 60,000 shops are up, ready, on the block.
Yeah.
We need to run a better business because if you want to grow, Andy, you have 2 shops. Lucas, I'm not sure what your plans are, but the fact of the matter is that if you've got good processes and systems and people, you can afford to grow.
Sure.
It's a tough thing, but you can't get there. God, I got my own shop, and wouldn't it be nice to have 2 or 3 someday? You can't get to 2 or 3, but unless you do all these things right, let's go back to the hire, the coach, the consultant, the accountability partner. But if 50, 60,000 shops are going to be somehow open and up available on the market in the next 5 years, OMG, start running a better business.
Well, right. Look, the best operators, and I'll just reel off 3 of them right now: Brian Sump, Greg Bunch, Seth Thorson. These guys are in acquisition mode to add shops. They already have multiple shops, and they're looking to add more because they can see what's on the horizon. Shops are going to close, or shops are going to get sold, and that's what's down the road, and that's opportunity for well-run operations that can add to their stable.
Yep. And so why wouldn't you want to run a well-run business, guys?
As bad as it sounds, ignorance, right? Because you don't know what you don't know. And until you get in there and you get some of that information, and sometimes it's arrogance, sometimes it's pride, sometimes we stand in our own way. We're not interested to find out the truth. And look, we see all these people who post in ASOG, all these people who post in these other groups. And at the end of the day, it boils down to they just really don't know. And if you are willing to listen, there are people who are willing to teach you. But if you're not willing to listen, it's pointless. You can forget it. You can go home. And I'm sure, Andy, you'll relate to this. Warren Buffett, I watched a Warren Buffett video years ago, and he said, I can go borrow money for 4% and go to another country and take it and invest it and make 10%. So why would I want a business that's making 3%? Why would I invest in a business that couldn't make more than 8% when I can just invest it in the market and do just as well there? Right. Yet as shop owners, we lose that concept. We lose that perspective. We jump in the shop and what, Carm, you may know the number. It's something like 80% of shops are below 5% net profit. And if we're going to do all this hard work and we're going to kill ourselves and we're going to take time away from our family for 5%, what the hell's wrong with us? That's crazy.
Yeah. I can't confirm that, but I would love to try to confirm that. You mentioned Mitch Snyder just a little bit ago, right? You read a couple of his books. Let me just suggest to anyone who's listening to this that is in struggle mode, and by the way, I think your struggle mode could be a positive thing for you if you let it help you, right? Not just woe is me, but struggle, how can I fix this? But Mitch wrote a great book, Misfire. And if anyone doesn't want to go and join a group and listen, and please read Misfire. And at the end of that book, I think you'll pick yourself up by your shirt collar, your own self, and say it's time to fix it. And Mitch and I are scheduled to do some more interviews coming up in the next month. But got to read Misfire.
Yeah, fantastic book. Fantastic. Yeah, fantastic.
So what else, guys? Unscripted. What? I'm not. I've been asking questions because I'm curious. But if the conversation changes, you make that change.
Before we jump off the topic of working on your business, I just want to. I really want owners to think about where do they bring the most value in their shop. You may be convinced that you have to be under the hood, but you can bring a lot more value working on the structure of your business, working on the culture, building that structure to bring more people in to do the physical labor for you. Because you know what? The other thing, let's face it, you're getting older every day, right? Yeah. I look at it I'm blessed with young techs. I have one guy who's 46. And I talk to him all the time. I'm like, we need to be planning for as your body starts breaking down on you. I'm older than he is, so I know a little bit about that.
Rarely is the best place for the owner in the base. And how much of it is hero mode, right? How much of it is trying to be the hero and wear the Superman cape and run around the shop like I have to fix it. I'm the only one who can do it the way I want it. And it comes back to this idea of perfection, right? You're talking about a vehicle that wasn't perfect when it rolled off the assembly line. You can give up now. It's okay.
Good stuff.
I got to talk about another topic, and it ties right into this. It's, you don't know what you don't know, and it's okay when things don't go okay. Right. We talk about ASOG. We talk about all the other groups in the 20 groups. And ASOG was literally started because things weren't okay. Right. ASOG was founded because somebody said, I can't do this anymore. This is too much. It's too stressful. There's no way I can keep going. I've got to do something different. And he founded it just to fuss and complain. Sorry, Scott. But
I think he admitted that on the show that I did with him. Yeah.
Yeah. And so I guess my thing to you guys is, Andy, I know, look, I'm a shop owner. Carm, you've been in the industry for a long time. Things don't always go right. Every job doesn't go perfect. And we're afraid to say that sometimes. We're afraid to say that we had a bad interaction with a customer. And it's getting more and more prevalent now. People will say that. But what's the number one thing that we do when something goes south? We blame the customer. We take zero ownership for what happened in the shop, what went wrong. And I think it's really important to recognize that when you look at another shop, you look at another shop owner, a lot of what you see is highlight reel. You don't see the bad things. Yeah. They don't post that on Facebook. They don't post the car laying sideways on the lift with flames rolling up out from underneath the hood. Right. So I think it's really important that we share with our other shop owners that there are times that things don't go our way. Right. I have had some insurance claims. Right. Luckily, only one big one. But I talked to a friend just the other day. They worked on a Porsche. It caught on fire 2 days later. And he said it wasn't us, but the car burnt down and my insurance is paying for it. Of course it is. Right. And for 10 years, right after I started the shop, I would go home and that would dwell down inside here. Right. And it affected my wife. It affected my children. It affected my health and every aspect of my life. And knowing now that I'm going through the same thing that everybody else is going through, man, that's a huge blessing for me. Right? Sure. I'm not the only one with huge problems. It's cool.
Yeah. I mean, we had 4 or 5 years ago, we had a wheel come off on a highway on a guy's Audi A6, right? Right. The tech he was one of my kind of problem child techs. He didn't torque the wheels, right? So it was an insurance claim. Thank God nobody was hurt. It was actually minimal damage on the car. Insurance got the car fixed up. The customer was very understanding. We bent over backwards to take care of any concerns. And we instituted a policy of every car that has a wheel come off, all the lug nuts get chalked with that text color-coded chalk.
Right.
So that then when the porter goes to wash it, if it said that the wheel was off this car and there's no chalk on the lug nuts, we know. We haven't had we don't have lug nut issues anymore because everything gets torqued because we just came up with a very simple way to address that for quality control.
Right.
Yeah. That's part of working in a business with human beings.
Absolutely. And how much of that, right? Because we're talking about the groups, right? And I think it's really important to acknowledge how much of that comes back into the groups. And the first thing that person says is, it's not our fault. We didn't actually do something wrong. This customer has this horrible attitude, right? and there's absolutely zero opportunity to say, this was our fault. We're going to learn from it. Yeah. Right. And extreme ownership was really huge for me.
Yeah.
Good book. And the videos. And here's the thing is that, I've really learned that until I acknowledge my problems and I own my problems, I don't have the power to fix them. If I make an excuse and it's somebody else's fault and I never come back to solve the problem, I mean, I'm just going to stay where I'm at.
Yeah.
I'm stalemate.
Yeah. Speaking of Jocko, there's a great podcast with Joe Rogan and him.
The latest one was fantastic.
Yes. Did you see it?
Yeah.
It's off the charts. It is so good. It is so frank. It is so in your face. It's all about leadership. Yep. By the way, Lucas, you've mentioned a couple of times now customer. I'm getting ready to interview John DeJulius from the DeJulius Group, who wrote a book called Customer Service Revolution back in 2015. I'm going to recommend to everyone that you get this book and you read it, and don't wait for me to interview John. It's all about the customer. It's all about the importance of the customer. And I'm reading the book, and I can't help it in the first 25 pages to say, wow, there's something really weird about the word customer. Every time he says the word or writes the word customer, it's got a capital C. Every single time, bringing the importance of the customer, never blaming, but the customer is your way to success, profitability, continued revenues, and it's going to be a great podcast, and that's where we are, I think, in our environment today. Exceptional, differentiated customer experience.
Yeah. So I'll tell you, Sam, relating exactly that. So generally, when I'm talking about any kind of a customer situation, I always refer to them as clients. Right?
Perfect.
Yeah. And I know there's probably guys out there who are like, what's with the highfalutin? Why do where you think you're a lawyer or something? But that's the way they're my clients, right? But here's another thing. With the whole COVID, one of the things that we instituted, with sanitizing the cars and everything, but we did free pickups and deliveries of cars because people didn't want to leave their houses. And it struck me that in a couple of the groups, that subject came up, and this was within the last month. So we're down the path of COVID, right? And things are starting to return to some kind of normal. But how many owners said, "Oh yeah, we were doing that, but F that. We got rid of that. We're not doing that anymore." And I'm thinking, I'm not doing it anymore. I'm looking at hiring more guys to do it forever.
Yeah,
absolutely. If I could get every customer car to be picked up and dropped off by us, I control my workflow almost 100% then. I'm not risking that the guy's not going to show up or the woman's not going to show up in the morning with the car that they made an appointment for. We're going to go get it.
Right.
And we're going to deliver it back to them. And the customers are so stoked at this service. It's like they've realized now that, auto maintenance doesn't have to be any hassle for me. All I got to do is pay for it. That's fantastic to me.
Well, and see, that's us, right? And I keep getting asked, well, what of the things that you implemented for the pandemic are you going to keep? And I'm like, we were already doing all that. And they said, what? You were picking up and delivering cars? Uh-huh. Right. I like to know when it's going to be here, and I like to know that I can say, hey, I'll bring it back to you. You're still going to do loaner cars? Absolutely. You're still going to do payments online? Anything I can do to control the process, just like you said.
Yeah.
Change the time frame, and be in control of that time frame is really important. And it means that I can increase my ARO and I can control that ticket from start to finish. And it's really funny you say that, because back when I started this journey, we talk about customers, clients, whatever we choose to call them. When we started this journey in my shop, I went to ASTE, and there was a guy named Malin Newton teaching a customer service class. Now, I thought I had done customer service really well. And I went to Malin's class, and I came out saying, oh, man, I've done a family business for all these years. And what I found is that over the years in the family business, that I had this different perspective of who my client was and what they expected. Right. And you become kind of tempered or weathered to all the customer problems you deal with over time. And you have to reset that from time to time and say, hey, listen, we're about serving the customer at a high level.
Yeah.
And I think that when you provide that level of customer service, now all of a sudden your customer doesn't call you and ask how much it is. They say, Lucas, I trust you. Fix my car. Yeah. Is it done yet? Yeah. Right. It's a whole lot better scenario across the board.
Yeah. Leave the price shoppers and the people who that's their number one worry. Leave them to the CarXs and the Meinekes. They'll find their home there. I'm not denigrating them at all. That's just that's what's important to them. They can go to the Midas and CarX and Meineke and Pep Boys.
And just think, as the car gets more complicated and harder to fix, you guys are going to be in just a perfect place.
We're trying. I mean, that's it. Yeah.
And let's talk about client. Words are powerful.
Words mean something.
Don't you ever forget that.
Sure.
Wow. Unscripted. I had no idea what was going to happen. You guys just brought it home. Thank you. I may do more of these now that you guys proved the case here for me.
Great.
Thank you so much. Andy Bizub, Midwest Performance Cars, Chicago, 2 locations, and Lucas Underwood from L&M Performance Auto Repair, Blowing Rock, North Carolina. Hey, guys, always appreciate your support of the podcast and for helping pay it forward.
Thanks, Carm.
Thanks, Carm. You're doing a great job, too.
Thanks for being on board to listen and learn from the premier automotive aftermarket podcast. Until next time,